Hey guys, welcome to this week's video. In this week's video, I'm going to be drawing Alduin from the video game Skyrim. With Game of the Year releasing not too long ago, I've had a resurgence of playing Skyrim. I did play it when it first came out, and it is one of my favorite games. I remember the first time I played it, actually when I fought Alduin, I remember thinking he was very creepy. I've always been one of those people who can't really play video games at night unless they're really lighthearted, but games like Fallout and like BioShock and that kind of thing, it's too much at nighttime. And Skyrim was no exception, especially when the dragons start rising everywhere and you're just walking along, minding your own business, and then suddenly you hear that freaking screech in the air and you know you're about to get wrecked by a dragon. But anyway, I thought about drawing him fighting the Dragonborn, but I decided it would be more interesting to include the sky. I know for as long as I've been playing, I've just been really impressed with just the night sky in Skyrim. Like, it's so pretty. On those days where like the Aurora Borealis is just shining, whether it's like green like I chose, or whether it's like that pinky kind, it's really beautiful. Usually when I play and it's nighttime and that's happening, I usually stop to look at it, especially when you can see the multiple moons in the sky. It's so pretty. But focusing on the artwork, it was really fun to draw him. It was actually extremely kind of time consuming to draw all those scales, and I was about halfway through sketching it out when I kind of started questioning what I had got myself into. It's just a lot of detail work and a lot of kind of symmetrical shapes, and it gets really tiring really quickly, especially later on when I started coloring in each individual scale and having to add all that texture. It was just, I'm glad the end product was worth it. It looks pretty great when I'm done, if I do say so myself. To do him, I mostly used my gray tone Copic markers, apart from the red of his eye and the little bit that I put throughout his body, and then a lot of it was just utilizing the Jelly Roll and the Copic liner to just create those really harsh, like obvious shadows and kind of create the texture of the scales that I just wasn't going to get with Copics. I also added a bit of pencil crayon just to get like really dark shadows where I didn't want to waste a lot of my Copic ink, and I think it worked out really well. I was really happy with how the pose turned out. It is a little odd, kind of, if you look at it too long, but it looks amazing. It wasn't the stereotypical one that you see kind of in all the promo for Skyrim, so I think it adds a lot of visual interest, and it's just nice that it's something different instead of, you know, the standard dragon in the air, like wings arched because it's flying, you know, that sort of thing. I don't know, I like it. I think one of the more fun things to do about this picture was definitely the background. Before I went into the drawing itself, I actually spent a little bit of time on scrap paper deciding how I wanted to do it and how I could do it, really. I was super intimidated by the process of making it as pretty as it looks on the game, and I think I pulled it off pretty well. I was originally thinking of laying down just a thin layer of black pencil crayon and kind of softening it out with alcohol, but when I started doing that on scrap paper, I quickly realized that that was not going to work. The Copic markers aren't super pigmented enough that they could show up as bright as I wanted them to over that black, so basically that idea was stupid and it got scrapped super fast. Eventually I decided on laying just the brightest colors first and then kind of layering over those in a way that I thought would look right. I did have a reference photo from a screenshot of the game, and I was kind of working off that and kind of imagining my own sky, really. I decided to use a mixture of warm and neutral grays for the ground because in the dark humans actually don't see in color. So if it's nighttime and you're looking at the ground, it makes sense for it to be in a grayscale shadow. So I just used those, kind of incorporating where I thought the moonlight might be touching it and where the shadows might fall. I didn't include any houses or creatures or anything like that in it, just because I wanted to keep the ground kind of simple and not too busy. I actually ended up changing the moon quite a bit throughout the whole process of doing the sky. I originally started with a lot of warm grays and made it kind of like big, but then I realized that looked stupid and I started adding the waves of the sky over top of it. I knew it wasn't going to blend right, so I ended up coloring over it with the blues and just adding lots and lots of layers, and then finally at the end going over it with a white highlight just to make it pop. Really, the whole technique towards this sky was just lots of layering and flicking the Copic and making sure I wasn't laying down like hard color, and that when the tip of the Copic touched the paper it was light, and when it finished it was light, so there wasn't just blobs everywhere. After I was done with the sky, I just went through with my jelly roll and I went throughout the entire image and added stars, kind of making them sporadic like stars are, adding some really vibrant stars throughout, and yeah. I'm just really happy with it. I can't get over how pretty that sky is. I think I did it justice really well, so yeah. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more art videos that I do. I post new videos every Wednesday and every Saturday, so subscribe so you don't miss out on those. Thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. There you go. Those are the markers I got. Alright, after I picked those, the first thing I did was I just laid down some swatches to see what the colors looked like, how they blend.